Hello everyone and welcome to day 80, 3,933 miles now. Pretty grim afternoon, pouring with rain. Hopefully the noise of the rain on the windscreen isn't going to upset the audio too much. But the rain's quite a good thing because it's going to help me demonstrate the point of this video, which I will get to in a second. Firstly though, following my last video where I was talking about some things that I'd learned, I missed a couple of things. The first one is the clock. Now the clock is only on the screen there, and it's only on the screen when you have the screen illuminated. Now I like to drive most of the time with the display off like that, so it's blank. All I need is the instruments. That's what I'm looking for, and that's all the information really that I need. I like to dim the screen, turn it completely blank, but in doing so you lose the clock, which I think is a bit of an oversight on Ford's part. There's plenty of space in the information display there in between the clocks. They could easily have put a clock in there so that you don't have to have that screen illuminated all the time. Now I know at night it dims down and it goes a bit darker, but it's still a bright thing, and it still does, you know, can be a bit not blinding as such, but it can upset your night vision if you're driving along. So the clock, that's a bit of an irritation that it's only on there. So luckily, old-fashioned, I wear a watch. The other thing is that we now have Waze on Sync 3, Waze as a navigation option. It sits alongside Google Maps, got it running at the moment there. I've only tried it a little bit so far. Got to say, so far I'm not convinced. I haven't really used it for any serious journeys, so I haven't benefited from its apparent superiority in terms of how it routes you around obstacles and all of the crowdsourced information. So I'm persevering with it. I'm going to give it a try, and we'll see how I get on. I may make a video at some point in the future just reviewing in a bit more detail Waze and how it compares with Google Maps. So on to the point of this video, and that is, why did I choose a Ford Focus RS, not one of the many other cars out there, hatchbacks or cars at a similar price? It's something that comes up in the comments to my videos and on forums. Why did I choose a Focus RS? Why not X, Y or Z? So I'm just going to give you a bit of background and reasons why this is the perfect car. Perfect for me anyway. So when I originally saw the Focus RS had been released and I saw its spec sheet and so on, and having spent a good few thousand miles and a few years in my Ford Fiesta ST, it caught my interest. I wasn't really looking to change my Fiesta. I was perfectly happy with that, being completely honest. But there was something about the Focus RS that just caught my attention and made me think, oh yes, I'd like the sound of one of those. So aside from the Focus RS, what other cars did I consider? Well, I did shortlist the Seat Leon Cupra 300, the Volkswagen Golf R, Renault Sport Megane 275, the Audi RS3, Mercedes AMG A45, the Honda Civic Type R, and the BMW M2. So comparing them against the Focus RS, one thing that instantly ruled quite a few of them out was depreciation, or likely depreciation. Of course, we never know how much something's going to depreciate until we come to sell it. It's only ever an estimate. But looking at past history and so on, you can get a good feel and a good steer on what depreciation you can expect. And I know that in this thing, the Focus RS, depreciation has in the past been a bit slow. It's been quite low. Time will tell on this one, what with the engine problems that everyone seems to be talking about, although in reality the numbers are very low. But depreciation, I think, on this one is going to be quite low. So depreciation was one of the first things. And from my research, that instantly ruled out the Renault Sport Megane, the Golf R, the Leon 300 and the Civic Type R. I've seen those lose a massive chunk of money. And compared to this, they don't even come close. Then there's the fact that, as you may well have gathered if you've seen any of my other videos on changing gear and heel and toe and rev matching and everything, I'm a big fan of the good old-fashioned manual gearbox. So any car with an automatic box only was never ever going to get a look in. So that was an instant strike through for the Audi RS3 and the AMG A45. I don't care how powerful they are or how good they are, how comfortable they are. Automatic box, nah, not at all, no thanks. Give me a stick and a third pedal every single time. So that was those two out. Then of course there's practicality. And my Fiesta wasn't too bad, but I've got growing children, and squeezing them in and out of the quite cramped rear seats was becoming a bit of a problem. So something with better access and a bit more rear space was preferred. So that was a down vote, a strike through for the Renault Sport Megane and the BMW M2. I needed back doors, so neither of those would make it through. And then there's the looks of the car. Now, I've never been one who really makes a decision on things like that alone, but it is quite important, I think. And the Golf R, the Audi RS3 and the Leon, they didn't really look too dissimilar to the standard models. And then you've got at the other end of the extreme, the Civic Type R, which is just way over the top with all of the bits that look like they've been bolted onto it. It was just a bit too much in your face. The BMW M2, the A45, the AMG, and this car, the Focus RS, I think in that regard just about nailed it. They just about got it right. Just enough of a hint of aggression, a hint of purpose, but not so much that you'd be embarrassed to get in it or that no one would ever notice it. And then there's the price. Now, price was never really a factor in any of my decisions. Not ultimate price, I consider value. And if I consider I was getting more value from something that was more expensive, then I would have bought something more expensive. But when I considered the M2, the RS3 and the A45, which are a massive premium, I mean, you know, circa £10,000 more than this car, I just couldn't see what you were getting for your money. I couldn't see the value in that. So that was a cross against each of those as well. But the main reason I chose the Focus RS is because of what the Ford engineers did to this car and what they've made it capable of doing. The main reason I bought it is because without trying, you can do this. Now that's not me trying to oversteer, that's just me trying to accelerate out of a corner like I would have done in my Fiesta. Only in the Fiesta, I'd be struggling to balance the throttle with the front wheel grip. In this, it hauls you round, throws a load of power to the back outside wheel, and just starts moving the back of the car a little bit. It's not threatening, it's very gentle, but it'll do it anytime you want it. And I think it looks a lot more on camera than is actually happening, but it feels amazing. It was going all the way around that corner then. Not enough to need opposite lock, but the back was moving as we came round. Very gentle and very progressive. correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think any of the other cars I shortlisted can do this. Credit to Ford for developing this thing and giving the car that sense, that feel, that rear-wheel drive feel, without it being rear-wheel drive, without it being dangerous or snappy. So Ford know how to make a car that's fun to drive. The Fiesta ST that I had so much fun in and that I ran for 4 years and 60,000 miles, that's a perfect example. And being fun and engaging to drive was the main brief when Ford developed this car, and they set out exactly what they wanted it to do. That's how they engineered it from the outset. Fun and engaging and rewarding to drive. They didn't worry about headline grabbing power levels, having the most powerful of the breed of hot hatches out there. They didn't worry about Nürburgring lap records, which just as well, because this doesn't do too well by all accounts. They just focused on one thing, and that was to make this car fun to drive, fun, engaging and rewarding, and that is exactly what they've achieved. Even without drift mode engaged, and that wasn't with drift mode when I was doing that back there, that was just in normal mode. But even without drift mode engaged, the rear wheels, when they receive drive, which it puts back there anytime it senses you're going around a corner and it wants to help you have zero understeer, which pretty much this car has, it drives the back wheels faster than the front. They're driven 3% faster than the front. That's insane. That is bonkers. Why would they do that? Other than to make the car feel a bit lively and to make the back of the car move about. And feeling the back of the car move about is a very, very fun thing. Pops and bangs from the exhaust. 100% fake, completely engineered. My understanding is that on the exhaust stroke, the engine injects a little bit of fuel and it sparks to make it bang while the exhaust valve is still open. That is such a waste of fuel. I'm amazed they were allowed to do that and got it past, you know, all of the laws about efficiency and so on. That is just burning fuel for the hell of it. But those pops and bangs creates the theatre of driving an RS, and that is also a huge amount of fun. Pointless, but fun. Now, exhaust noise aside, because I know some of the other cars have noises on gear changes and things like that, exhaust noise aside, Ford's USP with this car is that GKN Twinster rear drive unit, the oversped rear wheels, the dynamic torque vectoring, the ability for it to put up to 100% of the engine power to the rear and up to 100% of that to any one rear wheel. That is the USP of the Ford Focus. That is what gives the RS its playful nature, and that is what makes it a very, very fun thing to drive. And that gives you the ability to do things that you can't do in a single one of the other cars that I shortlisted. None of them can do what this thing does. And then lastly, we come down to value. Value for money. How can you beat this? What Ford did with the four-wheel drive system, I mean, they re-engineered a front-wheel drive car that was built and designed exclusively from the outset to be a front-wheel drive car. And they managed to re-engineer it to take a rear drive unit, and then they combined it with the fantastic GKN Twinster system and all of that dynamic torque vectoring and overspeeding of the rear axle. And they did all of that for, well, my car, just a shade under £35,000. Value for money, incredible. And again, nothing else on my shortlist comes close. So those are the reasons why I bought a Ford Focus RS, and those are the reasons why the Ford Focus RS is the perfect car for me. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, share it, hit the subscribe button, turn notifications on, and I will see you all in my next video. As always, thank you very much for watching.